So again, I said this in a tweet the other day. I said this in the P3 reload analysis video, if you want to call it that. The minute you see Atlus and Studio Zero come up in a trailer, shit is going down. And that was really my summoning candle kind of thing. Like, that was the only thing I was hoping for, because we were due. We've been due for so long. We're talking about a game that has, I wouldn't say it's been in development hell, because, you know, I feel like when you have someone like Hoshino working on a game, leaving P Studio just to do this, because Studio Zero is like, this isn't the only thing they've worked on. If you know, Studio Zero is responsible for Catherine. Like, so Studio Zero has already had a hand out there. It's just, since Hoshino left P Studios to work on this, I have been interested. And I'm not going to say that the development has been tumultuous, because, I mean, it hasn't really. We just didn't hear anything. And you know about, you know, people in gaming, especially consumers in gaming, when you have a piece of content that you're really, really excited about, and you don't hear about it or from it in years, like, there's the initial, and then there's a long period of silence about it, you will grasp at any breadcrumb you can get. And we did get some breadcrumbs throughout the years, in the past couple of years for that, and we'll talk about that. But, like, with this conversation, I want to start from the very beginning. I want to start from the very, very beginning of all this, because you have to go back. You have to go back to the very beginning, when Re Fantazio was first announced. And again, we just finally got the name today, thanks to Xbox. Thank you, Xbox. Thank you, Atlus. I love you. So you got to go back to the beginning. Got to go back to the roots. Where did all of this start? And I want to say, why is it French? I don't know. This probably won't have any in closed captions or translation, but I want to say it started here with the initial teaser, I guess. And this was 6 years ago.
それは本当の意味での原点回帰。かつてファンタジー世界の RPG が巷にあふれていた頃、私たちはそんな当たり前に抗った。画一的な王道への対抗が私たちの原点だった。けれど今や RPG は多様化し、あらゆる世界観を手にした。では私たちが今問うべき対抗とは何か。それは今こそこの手で新たな王道を作ること。私たちにしか描けない新しい幻想世界を生み出すこと。対抗を培って支持を得ることができた今だからこそ、私たちは立ち戻れる。
Yeah, there were no closed captions on this. They're auto-generated, so I'm not gonna trust it.
原点回帰のゼロ。今こそ飛び立ち、いかようにも変わってゆけるゼロ。 ゲームを愛する全ての人々へ向けた唯一を追求する旅路が始まる。ゲームはもっと面白いものになる。かつて抱いた輝かしい幻想を取り戻すのだ。
So this is pretty much the origin, like the very beginning of when we first heard about Re Fantasy. A year later, we would get two things. We would get two things from Studio Zero about Re Fantasy. One, and both of them actually were very weird. Both of them were very, very weird. It kind of gave us the insight. So we knew this wasn't going to be, we knew this wasn't going to be Shin Megami Tensei. They even said that in their promotional. This isn't Shin Megami Tensei. This isn't Persona. This is fantasy. In their promotional, like images and everything that they had. If I can find one of those, I'll probably put that in the video. But yeah. So fantasy, going outside, and even still, going back to an interview that Hoshino had with, he had an interview with Sojima and Kentaro Miura, of all people. Miura from his works on Berserk, God rest his soul. He's like, Miura was like, I'd like to think of, Persona as fantasy, and like a lot of that research y'all had to do on gods and things like that. I'd like to think of, Megami Tensei and Persona as fantasy, and that coming from Miura, that's huge praise. But again, we go back to this, and we're getting into fantasy proper, and like, again, that first teaser was 6 years ago. This was 5 years ago.
戦争が近い。物書きをやめて槍を握れと命じられる前に、私は何としても書き上げたい。世の救いとなるような希望の物語を。やはり違う。異種族。本当は誰もそんな風に呼ばれたくない。もしも種族が一つなら戦争など起きないだろう。そうなれば遠い国まで自由に旅ができる。おっと、王や貴族も望まれたものじゃない。誰もが望む理想とは一体どんな世界だろうか。 誰もが不安にまみれている。争って突き放す。魔法も戦争の道具だ。ならばこういう世界はどうだろう。その世界には種族は一つだけ。彼らに魔法は必要ない。学びと手技だけで巨大都市を築く。天をつくガラスの塔、闇のない安全な夜、行き交う車、そして満たされた彼らの法には民の命は平等だと書かれている。分かっている。こんなものは幻想、絵空事だ。だが私は信じたい。この物語が誰かの希望となり、やがてそれを体現するもの。この現実を救う本当の英雄が訪れるのだと。世界は永遠にこのままである必要はない。そう信じる意志の証。きっとそれを幻想と呼ぶのだ。
And I'm kind of wondering if the site's still up. I need to check that. But yeah, like we get this trailer about classes and everything, and this goes back to again the conversations that Hoshino was having with multiple devs and other people within the culture of fantasy. Again, he talked to Miura, he talked to um Mizuno, who did what, Record of Lodos, kind of like psyching themselves up for this, and it definitely shows in what they did with this. And again, like these first few trailers had a lot of live action in them, which I thought was kind of weird at the time. The next trailer, if you want to call it that, the next bit of, let's say, bit of promotion for this game was probably the weirdest, because, and I shit you not, it was literally a knight eating a sandwich for 5 minutes straight. We're not going to watch the entire thing, but that was their next bit of promotion. Same year, probably came after that, but it was literally a knight eating a sandwich, like deadpan face, everything, taking it out of the bag, eating a sandwich. I cannot make this up. Probably the same night from the trailer, the last trailer. Oh, it wasn't a sandwich. I'm sorry. It was a chicken. I'm sorry. It was a chicken.
It's not coming out.
Now I kind of want some chicken. And again, it's just 5 straight minutes of this. Like, I can fast forward. Such weird marketing for this. And then he finishes, obviously.
I'm a knight. I just finish eating a pigeon.
Pigeon. Middle age.
That was it. That would, yeah. You don't get it. Why though? Exactly. So again, the promotion for this at the time was really weird. And after that, we heard not a single thing about the game. Maybe the developers, yes, because again, the Miura Hoshino interview was like 2019. And again, that was just, them bouncing off ideas and talking about, fantasy and culture and sex in games, that was really the last thing we heard was in 2019. Then I believe Persona Central had something. Because they keep track, Persona Central keeps track of everything. Shout out to Persona Central. We did hear a few things in 2020 that development did reach its climax, but 2020 COVID, so that probably put a halt to a lot of things. 2020, the title under the tentative title as Project Re Fantazio: A Fool's Journey Begins was officially announced 4 years ago in December 2016. Initially announced as a recruitment drive for the newly created Studio Zero. So they were, at the time, recruiting people for this project. We've since received a few substantial development updates, including the concept video 2 of December 2017, which is the one we just watched before the night eating a chicken. So again, we did get a few updates. Hoshino for 2022 gave aspirations. Until last year, 2021, Atlus released titles from various series. It's finally time to develop a completely different new game from Atlus. The development of Project Re Fantazio, which was announced a few years ago, is now reaching its climax, despite some twists and turns. So I want to remain focused and work as a team to bring it to fruition. This is also an important year for us to start working towards the future. To the best of my capabilities, I would like to continue to create games that will add to the enjoyment of the game life of all players. And he goes on further to say that for Re Fantazio, at the time, we can't say anything concrete yet. We're preparing a lot of things. Look forward to it. And that was in 2020, for 2022. So here we are today, June 11th, in the year of our Lord 2023. And Xbox just finished their press release, just finished the Starfield Direct. And we get this gem right here.
定めを課せられし子よ、憂いを抱える旅人よ。
こいつが俺の凱旋者だ。
果たして誰が次の王か。
己自身に命じなさい。内なる英雄の姿に変われと。
真の王を志すならば打ち勝ってみせよ。
僕のいる世界の出来事は君にとっては絵空の
まさか人間？
と。この国は今有史以来の危機にさらされている。どうやら面白い力を手にしたようだ。
主君に捧げると決めた覚悟そのものだ。
これこそ人間の真実だ。
道は二つに一つ。
またあったね。やはり君は興味深い。
今こそあんた自身がそうなる番よ。
正義かどうかじゃない。
誰もが恐れと不安に負けそうで。
理想を貫け。
何が正しいのかわからない。
全ての始まりはあなたの持つ小説。
幻想はただの絵空事なんかじゃない。
So we finally get the name Metaphor Re Fantazio. Re Fantasy. And again, kind of want to go through bits and pieces of the trailer. Again, the minute I saw this, the exact split second I saw this, I lost my shit. Because I know the Studio Zero logo because it's the one I've been looking for in every trailer I've seen the past few years. I'm like, just give me that. And so we have it. That is indeed the Fool. That is indeed the Fool. So we start, with live action.
僕を覚えてるか。
国民
Then we get into
の信託を最も集めし者が次なる王となる資格を得る。
Now, I was beginning to think when I saw the first few images, it started modern, but I guess that's just the style that they were going for in this particular fantasy setting. Because I thought it was kind of blurring modern and fantasy together, kind of like an isekai, but maybe not.
となる資格を得るものとする。陛下のお命が奪わ
Over 10 years, he has languished under this curse. How much longer can his body hold out? Curse.
れるなど。
So, what you in terms of traversing areas and everything, it's what you normally expect from a Megaten game, kind of wide open, being able to hear conversations around you. On the right, you have a date. You have a date. So people were wondering if there was going to be a social aspect. I'm not sure if there's going to be a social aspect, but there is an aspect of time management. Flames Day. Because fantasy, right? But yeah, it looks like there's going to be an aspect of time management.
汝定めを課せられし子よ、憂いを抱える旅人よ。
こいつが
And again, Meguro working on the soundtrack. Meguro, for his more modern stuff for Persona, absolutely bangers. So it's kind of going to be interesting to see what Meguro does for fantasy. Because when I think of sound people, Meguro's up there. Soken, obviously can blur the lines as easily as possible. It's effortless for him. So I kind of feel but I don't feel like I've ever really, really heard Meguro do fantasy. I mean, he's done like most recent thing I've heard because I've recently played it was Rido, and that was good. Like jazzy. I mean, so I kind of feel like Shoji Meguro can blur the lines and kind of like is fluid rather in terms of his music composition. But here we have a map. Here we have a map, and I'm assuming it's going to be a lot more open than this. And we see weather conditions for each area. Wonder if weather will play a part. Let me move my camera because underneath my camera there is it says mission zero, a path opens, wait for the path to Haven to open. So that's, I guess, the mission. So I guess there'll be like little main missions and side missions, side quests. I guess that's how it's gonna work. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the menu, the important shit. All right, skill, item, equipment. So there will be equipment management, party, follower. Wonder what follower is. Quest, obvious. Calendar, journal, probably to keep up with what you've done, and then of course your system. So follower may be a social aspect. Guest party member, possibly. Know what I'm saying? Follower. Follower equals social link. My thing is how. I mean, if anybody can do it, Hoshino can kind of fit a social aspect into a fantasy game. Part of me wants to get away from that. There's part of me that, like, in modern personas, like, it's okay. But in a fantasy environment, I mean, I understand building relationships with certain people, key people who are part of the story. But I don't know if I'm. Yeah, time management is already in there. So I like, for what I can see, maybe, doing side missions or doing certain things eats up time. That's what I'm seeing, not necessarily, spending time with people. We'll come to find out. Maybe more at the event next week. I think it's next week or the week after. On the 20th, and we'll talk about that later. Another thing. Money, obvious. Mag. I'm not going to completely 100% say it's magnetite. If so, why? I can understand magic, fantasy. Right, sure. Magnetite? Okay. So again, classes, some of them are mastered. One is not, 15 out of 20. Navi. So your party will have a navigator. And then the flavor text for, I guess, Seeker learns a wide array of versatile skills, including wind magic, single target healing, and attack buffs. So Seeker must be I guess you're starting your jack of all trades kind of deal. Interesting. And then I guess we can see their attack and their defense. Thief looking a little squishy. That Thief is looking a little bit squishy right there.
して誰が次の王か。
己自身に命じなさい。内なる
Oh, okay. Battle HUD. Important stuff. So, obvious, turn-based. It kind of has the, like, okay, I'm starting from the top. It kind of has the, a bit of the Megaten feel. Because I'm saying these are probably your turns because this is a player turn. So whether or not they will do anything like press turn, who's to say? We don't know yet. And going into the menu, archetype called power, which is probably your magic. Pass, you'll turn again. So if this is like press turn, you'll probably eat up half a turn if you pass. Weapon, kind of obvious. Synthesis team up. So combo attacks with other party members. Guard, pretty obvious. Items, pretty obvious. And then down here, retry, turn back the clock. Huh. And that's interesting. Yeah, it makes me think of Fire Emblem, but I guess it makes more sense in Fire Emblem. But for something like this, what would you want to retry? Like, I guess it retries the turn that happened. So I guess if someone goes down, you can go back in time one turn and then kind of rectify it. I'd say that wouldn't be infinite. Either on harder modes, it's not there. Normal, it's not infinite. On probably an easier difficulty, you can probably retry as much as you want to. And again, I like the way the your party HUD is set up. I like the aesthetic of it. This really looks good. I like this. Synthesis. They're still using Megaten names. Attack up buff right there. Masaru Kaja is a party-wide attack up buff. So what I'm curious about is how much, since they're still using Megaten, I guess buff names, how much of a connection will this have with Megaten? Tetra Break. So I'm thinking, because Tetra Kaja, not Tetra Kaja, what am I thinking of? Because Tetra is usually the reflect physical attacks. And Tetra Break, so Tetra Break would remove that. Because Tetra Break is a persona skill. So Tetra Break removes that. Yeah, it's a Tetracorn opposite. It just removes, if somebody Tetracorns, it just removes it. So again, they're using Megaten skills, which is really, really interesting. So I'm wondering how much of a connection this has to Megaten.
英雄の姿に変われと。
真の王を志すならば打ち勝ってみせよ。
僕のいる世界の出来事
Oh,
は
go back. So there is social. There's your social. Answers the question. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. 8 ranks. 8 ranks for each person. Answers my question. God, I was kind of hoping we would get away from that. Your post battle screen looking good, like kind of a la P5. A little bit of swag. Hold on, let me go back to it one more time, just to see everything. XP, obviously, a XP, so archetype XP, I'm guessing. Either that or your class XP. Mag, probably magnetite at this point. If we're this adjacent to Megaten, then yeah, I'm gonna call this magnetite. Money and then drop items.
この国は今有史以来の危機にさらされている。どうやら面白い力を手にしたい。
Learning archetypes, inheriting skills, seekers research, lectures, listen. Okay.
手にしたようだ。
So, your personality, your stats, your personality stats. Courage, wisdom, tolerance, eloquence, imagination. Your traits, yeah. This is really Megaten Persona adjacent. It's not even funny. Like, you can tell this is a Hoshino game. You can tell that this is a Hoshino game. The menu show anything else? Whose stats?
これこそ人間の真実だ。
道は2つに1つ。
またあったね。やはり君は興味深い。
今こそあんた自身がそうなる番よ。
正義かどうかじゃない。誰もが恐れと不安に負けそうで。理想を貫け。何が正しいのかわからない。
すべての始まりはあなたの持つ小説。
幻想はただの絵空事なんかじゃない。
Don't call the rabbit a teddy. We don't need more mascot characters. He's probably better anyway. So yeah, 2024. Metaphor Re Fantazio. Again, going off of everything, this is so Megaten adjacent. It's not even funny. Spell names. Probably a press turn system. Social. Stats. This is so Megaten adjacent. A pixie. Yeah, you get a day one. You get your day one-ish pixie. I am looking forward to learning more in the coming months, coming weeks. And we won't have to wait that long. We won't have to wait that long because apparently there is going to be a special broadcast on the 20th. And it's going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern on the 20th. So for this one, I am trying to reach out to someone because I'm gonna cover the shit out of this game. Y'all thought y'all were fucking annoying about Final Fantasy 16. I'm gonna be fucking obnoxious about this game. So yes, I will be covering the fuck out of this game. So I'll be looking for someone to maybe translate. Reaching out to people to maybe live translate. For that, I will be streaming it, and I'll be looking out for someone to live translate it. So yeah, I'm really fucking excited for this game. You have no fucking clue. I mean, just the weight alone probably amplified it, but I'm just batshit excited for this game. What do you think? What do you think about the trailer? What do you think about what we saw from the trailer? How are you feeling about Metaphor? I still want to call it Re Fantasy. I really in my heart want to call it Re Fantasy because that's what I've known it as. But what are you thinking? Let me know in the comments. And again, I'll be covering the special broadcast on the 20th. So please look forward to that. And please feel free to come by. Again, I'm trying to get someone to live translate it. So if you know anyone who is down to do that, let me know as well. As always, thanks for watching.